A woman randomly grabbed a man off the street and dragged him straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau, demanding they get married on the spot. Why? Because when she went home, she caught her fiancé and her best friend in the living room, playing their little man and woman wrestling game. Holding the marriage certificate as she walked out of the bureau, Tao Di finally began to calm down. Now she truly regretted it. She shouldn't have been so impulsive. Leaning against the man, Tao Di spoke awkwardly. Hey, a life of flash marriage and flash divorce is what makes it exciting, right? You don't mind if we go back in and file for a divorce, do you? But the man's expression was cold as he flatly refused. We'll get to know each other in time. For now, all you need to know is that my name is Ji Yao and I'm your legal husband. Come on, I'll take you home. Her mood sank instantly. Tao Di muttered, Home? What home? What bride goes back to her parents' place on the very first day of marriage? That bitch Sinew is probably just waiting there to laugh at me. In Tao Di's eyes, the man she had just married on a whim was nothing more than a rookie intern doctor. Someone whose salary probably couldn't even cover rent. Thoughtfully, she handed Ji Yao the access card to her private apartment. Ji Yao's face remained cold as ever as he took the card without a word. Feeling a little embarrassed, Tao Di said, I'm the type who owns up to what I do. Sure, I married you on impulse, but since we're already married, I'll make sure we live a good life together. I can't accept sharing a bed with you yet. You'll have to sleep in the guest room. When Ji Yao gave no response, Tao Di waved her hand in front of his eyes. Are you even listening to me? Suddenly, Ji Yao grabbed her wrist, agreed to her request without hesitation, and then pulled her toward the mall, intent on buying things to set up the guest room. The scene shifted. Just as the two stepped into the mall, a bedding saleswoman grabbed Tao Di's arm. With a smile she said, Young lady shopping for a bed with your husband, right? Come, let me show you. Flustered, Tao Di quickly explained, Auntie, we're just passing by. But the saleswoman assumed Tao Di was a shy newlywed. She held onto her hand and continued warmly, Oh, Auntie's been there, trust me. A good bed is essential for a couple's life together. Then she leaned in close and whispered in Tao Di's ear, By now and you'll even get a set of lingerie, perfect for adding fun to the bridal chamber. Tao Di's face instantly turned crimson. In a panic, she snatched the items from Ji Yao's hands and bolted. Ji Yao, however, casually pulled out a gold card and paid without hesitation. Just as Tao Di headed to the cashier with her items, her own mother suddenly blocked her way. Standing beside her, Sinew spoke up in surprise. Xiao Di, what are you doing here? Didn't you say you were going to register your marriage with that doctor this morning? Don't tell me you lied. You still have feelings for Shouting, don't you? But he loves me now. Hearing such shameless words, Tao Di let out a cold laugh. And you still have the face to stick around my mom? You picked up the trash I threw away and you're still not satisfied. Her mother immediately snapped, Tao Di, watch your mouth. Have you forgotten everything I taught you? Then, spotting the bank card in her daughter's hand, her face twisted with anger. Don't tell me you're planning to throw money at that broke doctor? She suddenly reached out, trying to snatch the card. How did I end up with such a disgrace for a daughter? Handing yourself over like that? How cheap can you be? Tao Di's fury exploded. Since I was a child, even when I was sick and near death, you never cared about me. Yesterday, Sinew was in my house, rolling around with my so-called fiancé, and now you call me cheap. Before she could finish, Sinew slapped her hard across the face. Xiao Di, you've gone too far. How dare you treat your own mother like this? Tao Di glared viciously at the green tea bitch who had stolen her man, her rage overflowing as she lunged forward. You home-wrecking whore, how dare you hit me? Smack. Her mother seized Tao Di's wrist and scolded, screaming in public like this, You're humiliating me. Tears streamed down Tao Di's face as she cried out, Mom, why are you siding with her? I'm your real daughter. Just as Tao Di's mother was about to slap her, a large hand suddenly clamped down on her wrist. It was Ji Yao, the man Tao Di had married less than a day ago. Tao Di stared at him in utter disbelief. With a dark expression, Ji Yao said coldly, Hit her back. Show them you're not someone to be trifled with. Tao Di froze on the spot, stunned by his words. Sinew, though flustered, still shouted, Tao Di, don't think I'm afraid of you just because your broke husband is backing you up. Deep down, she was confident. So long as Tao Di's mother stood on her side, Tao Di wouldn't dare make a move. The very next second, Tao Di's hand cracked across Sinew's face. You want Ji shouting? Take him. That trash of a man isn't worth keeping anyway. Right then Ji shouting suddenly appeared, confusion written all over his face. What's going on here? Seeing Shirsinyu's swollen cheek, he rushed forward in concern. Xinyu, what happened to your face? And why is Tao Di here? Shirsinyu immediately put on a pitiful act, crying softly, shouting, don't blame Xiao Di. I heard her first. It's only natural she'd be upset. Her disgusting green tea performance made Tao Di feel sick to her stomach. Ji shouting roared at her. Tao Di. Xinyu has done nothing to betray you. Don't you know what you've done? Shirsinyu dabbed at her tears, pretending to console. Shouting, stop it. Xiao Di's had it rough too. She just married an intern doctor. Look, she even has to pay for shopping herself. He's struggling to support a family all on his own. Before she could finish, Ji Yao's face darkened. Who said Tao Di has to support the family alone? He demanded. With a wave of his hand, the mall manager hurried over with a team of staff. Mr. Ji, all the items you requested on rush order are here. As for the Bugatti Veyron, it has to be transferred from the main store. Please wait a moment. Everyone around was stunned. Shirsinyu flat out refused to believe it. 300 million yuan for a luxury car? No way he could afford that. Ji Yao couldn't stand the doubt. He shot back coldly. Do you need me to have the receipt brought out for you? Tao Di tugged nervously at his sleeve, whispering, hey, don't put on a show you can't afford. Loan interest is no joke. But Ji Yao clasped her hand firmly, his tone deadly serious. This is my thanks for giving me a home. Paid in full. No loans, no debt. Now let's go home. Shirsinyu's face darkened. Inside she thought, you humiliated me and think you can just walk away? Not that easy. As Tao Di passed by, Shirsinyu deliberately bumped her shoulder, then suddenly collapsed to the floor, clutching her stomach and wailing, ah, my stomach hurts. Ji shouting scooped Shirsinyu up immediately, panic written on his face. Xinyu, what's wrong? Tao Di's mother snapped into action. Take Xinyu to the hospital. Now. Ji shouting glared at Tao Di and snarled, if Xinyu's hurt because of you, I will never let you off. Ji Yao fixed Ji shouting with a stern look. Ji shouting's bravado vanished. He bowed his head, suddenly guilty. As the crowd dispersed, Tao Di's mother turned and hissed at her daughter. If anything happens to Xinyu, don't come back to the Tao family. The words cut Tao Di like a knife. Tears welled up and she whispered, Ji Yao, now I really have nowhere to go. Back home, Tao Di had dinner already prepared. She stole glances at the man she had married that very day. In her heart she thought, this man is tall, graceful, and he stood up for me when I was at my lowest. But I can't trust anyone anymore. I can't drag him down because of me. As she drifted off in thought, Ji Yao stepped in front of her and asked, what's wrong? Startled, Tao Di waved her hands. Nothing. Dinner's ready, let's eat. This meal is to thank you for helping me out today. She then picked up some food with her chopsticks and offered it to him. But Ji Yao leaned back slightly, leaving Tao Di frozen in embarrassment. She quickly explained, wait, I use serving chopsticks. Only then did Ji Yao take the food into his mouth. He licked his lips afterward and said flatly, not bad, barely passable. The teasing gesture sent heat rushing to Tao Di's cheeks. She turned away shyly. Ji Yao, you did that on purpose. When Tao Di got no response for a while, she turned her head, only to see the plate completely empty. Annoyed, she snapped, seriously? You ate all that food? Ji Yao looked a bit embarrassed and glanced away. Tao Di then spoke earnestly. Ji Yao, we're going to be living together for a while. For your own good, I think we should draft a contract. She pulled out a flash marriage agreement and handed it over. Here's the contract. If you don't have any objections. Before she could finish, Ji Yao suddenly stood up and leaned in close. The intimate posture made Tao Di's heart pound wildly. With a teasing smile, Ji Yao played the rogue. I ate too much just now, my eyes are blurry. Why don't you read it to me one clause at a time? Tao Di, starry-eyed, couldn't help but gawk at the handsome man before her. Ji Yao leaned close to her ear and whispered, better wipe that drool off. Snapping back to reality, Tao Di frantically wiped at her mouth. Ji Yao feigned a yawn, looking drowsy. We'll talk about the contract later. I'm tired, I'm going to bed. At that, Tao Di exploded, shouting, hey Ji Yao, get back here and sign it right now. That night, Ji Yao quietly approached Tao Di, greedily breathing in the faint fragrance on her body. Then he gently scooped her up and carried her toward the bedroom. Ji Yao laid her softly on the bed, gazing silently at the woman he had married less than a day ago. The next morning on her way out, Tao Di kept replaying the night before. She was sure she'd fallen asleep on the couch, so why did she wake up in bed? Did Ji Yao carry me there before leaving for work? The thought made her cheeks instantly flush. Suddenly, a voice broke her thoughts. Xiao Di. Ji shouting staggered toward her, reeking of alcohol. He seized her hand. Xiao Di, I still care about you. Can't we keep seeing each other? Tao Di's face darkened with fury. She shouted, Mr. Ji, are you asking me to cheat on my husband and be your mistress? You piece of trash. Swallowing his anger, Ji shouting pressed on. Xiao Di, I know you only married him out of spite. I've realized, I won't hold it against you as long as you come back to me. Tao Di was disgusted. With a sharp smack, she flung her napkin right across his face. Seeing her refusal so firm, Ji shouting's smile turned sinister. If you don't care about me, fine. I'll just get engaged to Shirsinyu. You'll come to our wedding, won't you? He sneered and added, oh, and don't be too shocked when you see XNU's belly. She's already 3 months pregnant. Hearing the news, Tao Di finally lost control of her rage. She yanked Ji shouting by the collar and hissed, so you and that bitch have been sleeping together all along? Staring at her beautiful face up close, Ji shouting's lust flared uncontrollably. The next second he lunged forward trying to kiss her lips. The disgusting move made Tao Di freeze for a moment, then she snapped. Her knee drove hard into his stomach as she roared, what the hell are you doing? Trying to force a kiss? Stay away from me, I find you filthy. Just then Shirsinyu ran over, pretending to mediate. Shouting, stop picking fights with Tao Di. Even if she did those kinds of things, she still has her pride. Tao Di frowned in confusion. She had no idea what those kinds of things were supposed to mean. Disgusted, she turned to leave, unwilling to waste another second on this shameless pair. Suddenly, Ji shouting seized her wrist, refusing to let her go. Tao Di struggled furiously, her face full of anger. A whore and a dog. May you both rot together. Congratulations on your happy union. Now let me go. But Ji shouting's grip only tightened, refusing to release her. Just then a man's large hand clamped down on Ji shouting's shoulder. With a powerful shove, Ji shouting was sent flying straight into a pile of garbage. Ji Yao pulled Tao Di gently into his arms and said coldly, you don't deserve to touch her. Ji shouting glared at Ji Yao with venom, while the green t-shirt Sinyu rushed over in concern. Shouting, are you okay? The next second Ji shouting erupted in rage. He shoved Shirsinyu aside and charged at Ji Yao. It's all your fault, bastard. You stole Xiao Di from me. As his fist shot toward Ji Yao, Tao Di cried out, Ji Yao, watch out. And she even stepped forward to shield him. In an instant Ji Yao caught Ji shouting's fist and twisted hard. Pain surged through Ji shouting's body, yet he still spat threats. Let go, or don't blame me for what happens next. At those words, Ji Yao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He reversed the hold and slammed Ji shouting against the wall. Shirsinyu, seeing her boyfriend pinned down, immediately shouted, let him go. If you don't, we'll sue you for assault. You'll rot in prison. Tao Di stepped up, her face burning with fury. Go ahead and sue. The cameras will show who struck first. And while you're at it, tell everyone you're a mistress who stole my fiancé and keeps pestering his ex. Ji shouting froze, his heart sinking into ice. Xiao Di, you've really changed. The old you would never have said something like that. Ji Yao shoved hard. Ji shouting yelped in pain. Shirsinyu tried to jump in to help. She tore free of Tao Di's hand, grabbed her purse and swung it at Ji Yao. Let him go, or I'll beat you to death, she shouted. Seeing her husband attacked by that green tea girl, Tao Di flew into a rage and stepped in front of Ji Yao. Babe, don't fight, his smell will rub off on you, she snapped. Ji shouting shot back coldly, mind your woman. Don't let her, pregnant or not, lay hands on my man. As for your past, that's over. Then, seizing the moment, he forcefully pressed his lips to Ji Yao's. The scene sparked fury all around, but nobody could change what was happening. Seeing Ji shouting's strong reaction, Shirsinyu realized he still couldn't let go. She needed to find a way to take him away. She looped an arm around his and put on a pained face. Shouting, my stomach hurts. Let's go home, she wheedled. Ji shouting suddenly tore free and lunged at Tao Di, snarling, "You slut, I'll kill you." He never reached her. Ji Yao subdued him again and said coldly, "Listen, she's my woman. Mr. Ji, go home and take a shower. Don't be such a disgusting pest here." With that, he carried Tao Di up the stairs and left. Upstairs, Tao Di found herself sneaking a peek at Ji Yao through the bathroom door as he showered. His perfect physique and defined abs made her cheeks flush crimson. But Ji Yao's face was clouded with melancholy. He reminded himself, "Don't forget, you married her out of pity. And she is not that person." Meanwhile, Tao Di was lost in her own fantasies. Suddenly, the bathroom door swung open and she stumbled forward. The next instant, she landed against Ji Yao's solid chest, staring dumbfounded at his sculpted 8-pack abs. Heat surged to her face. Her heart pounded wildly in her chest. "Ye ao smirket playfully. What exactly are you looking at?" Tao Di snapped back to reality, shaking her head frantically. "And no, I wasn't looking at anything. I wasn't thinking anything. I'm going to bed." She bolted into her room and slammed the door shut with a bang. Watching her flee, Ji Yao broke into a mischievous grin. In her room, Tao Di secretly congratulated herself. With such a handsome man around, at least she hadn't lost all self-control. Suddenly her phone rang. When she answered, her mother's voice came through. "Xiao Di Xnu is pregnant. She and Xiao Ting will be holding an engagement ceremony soon. You need to attend." Tao Di's face hardened, she flatly refused. But her mother, worried about appearances, insisted she had to be there. Tao Di exploded, "All you ever care about is appearances. Have you ever once thought about my feelings? You always praise Shirsinyu while belittling me. Tell me, who's really your daughter?" Realizing force wouldn't work, her mother switched tactics. "Xiao Di, I'm doing this for the Tao family. We rely on the Shir family for many projects. Even if you can't understand me, at least think about your father." Tao Di knew the truth. Her father's company was struggling. She couldn't afford to be willful anymore. Reluctantly, she agreed to attend the engagement. At that moment, Shirsinyu whispered, "Auntie, I'd like to invite Xiao Di's husband as well." Her mother instantly understood, patting Shirsinyu's hand reassuringly before saying, "Xiao Di, make sure to bring your husband too. Don't tell me he's too busy. He's just a poor intern doctor. What, he doesn't even have time to meet his father-in-law?" Tao Di's face clouded with embarrassment. "I'll ask him," she said softly, "but I can't promise he'll come." She then added firmly, "Mom, I'm already married to the man you call a poor intern doctor. I'm his wife. I need you to respect me and respect him. Being a doctor is honorable. Please stop belittling his profession." Every word of her heartfelt declaration was overheard, loud and clear, by Ji Yao standing just outside the door. Ji Yao was at his desk working when a voice suddenly called out, "Long time no see, brother." A red-haired man strolled into the office, sneering. "Fresh back in the country and you're holed up in the hospital? Aren't you worried your half-brother might snatch the family fortune?" Ji Yao ignored him completely, his eyes fixed on the clock as if waiting for something. The redhead sprawled casually across the sofa. "If I remember right, Auntie's shares can only be transferred to you after you're married. What's your plan?" Ji Yao kept his gaze on his phone and replied coolly, "I'm already married." The redhead froze in shock. Irritated, Ji Yao stood ready to throw him out. The red-haired man immediately lost his bravado, watching Ji Yao cautiously. Suddenly, Ji Yao's phone rang. He grabbed it without hesitation. It was Tao Di. "Ji Yao, are you busy?" Ji Yao answered at once. "Not at all. What is it? Do you need something?" Tao Di hesitated, torn about whether to tell him about the engagement banquet. In the end, she chose to hide it, making an excuse instead. "Ji Yao, what do you want for dinner?" "I'll go pick up groceries." The redhead had been eavesdropping the whole time. Suddenly, he snatched Ji Yao's phone and bolted for the door. Clutching the office door shut so Ji Yao couldn't follow, he grinned into the receiver. "Sister-in-law, I'm Revolver, your brother-in-law's old friend. Big bro says he's married. Congratulations. You mentioned dinner just now. Mind sparing me a bite too? Thanks, sis. I'd love some hot pot." Ji Yao's face darkened as he yanked furiously at the door. Once the call ended, Revolver dropped to his knees, holding the phone up with both hands. "Spare me, boss. Let me walk out of here alive." Cut to Tao Di's home. She had laid out a full spread of dishes and was now drinking with Revolver, the two laughing happily while Ji Yao sighed helplessly. He finally snatched the beer out of Tao Di's hand, stopping her from drinking more. Tao Di, tipsy and staggering, insisted on heading to the kitchen to fix a fruit platter for Revolver. The moment she disappeared into the kitchen, Ji Yao pulled Revolver aside, voice cold, "Leave." But Revolver leaned in seriously. "Bro, don't you have anything to say about how much your wife looks like Xiaoya? She's her double." Ji Yao's expression turned stone cold. "Shut up." He grabbed Revolver by the collar and tossed him out the door. Sitting on the ground, Revolver muttered helplessly, "Your wife's a good woman. I know she's not anyone's substitute. I just hope you know that too." Ji Yao's icy reply came back, "I know better than anyone." Drunk, Tao Di slipped off her coat in front of the man. She lay back on the bed, grabbed his wrist and with shy anticipation said, "Ji Yao, I'll treat you well. Let's live a good life together." Suddenly, she wrapped her arms around Ji Yao's neck and yanked him down. The room soon filled with heated sounds. Cut to the next morning. Tao Di and Ji Yao lay curled up in each other's arms. Slowly waking, Tao Di turned her head, only to find Ji Yao lying nearly naked beside her. She screamed in shock. Overreacting, she toppled off the bed with a thud, hitting her head and seeing stars. Ji Yao rushed to her side, worry written all over his face. "Are you all right?" He reached out, gently massaging the bump on her forehead. The intimate gesture left Tao Di blushing hard, frozen on the spot. Suddenly, her phone rang. Tao Di snapped back, panicked. "It's ringing, I'll get it," she stammered, jumping to her feet. She grabbed the phone. It was her mother. Her mother's cold voice came through. "Today's X&U's engagement banquet. Don't be late and keep a low profile. Family scandals don't need to be paraded in public." The call ended, leaving Tao Di stunned. Ji Yao was about to ask what was wrong, but Tao Di quickly fled with the excuse of cooking. Watching her still hide the truth about the banquet, Ji Yao could only sigh helplessly. Cut to the hotel ballroom where Shi Sinyu's engagement banquet was being held. She whispered with her best friend Jean Fei. Jean Fei, eager to help her friend get revenge on Tao Di, pulled aside a waiter and gave secret instructions. Meanwhile, Shi Sinyu seethed inwardly. "Tao Di, the humiliation you gave me, I'll pay it back double." At that moment, Tao Di's mother was chatting with Shi Sinyu when Tao Di slipped in through a side door, hoping to enter unnoticed. But a voice called from behind her. "Xiao Di, why are you coming in through the side door? And alone?" Tao Di panicked. "Crap, Jean Fei saw me come in by myself." Her mother immediately caught on and shouted angrily, "Tao Di, why are you here alone? Are you trying to crash the wedding? Don't forget, the Shi family isn't someone we can afford to offend." Just as Tao Di was about to explain why her husband hadn't come, the entire hall went dark. Confused, she looked around, when suddenly a figure crashed into her. Glasses of wine toppled, splashing straight toward her. In that instant, a stranger grabbed Tao Di and pulled her into her arms. As the woman turned to leave, Tao Di hurried after her. "Wait please. My name is Tao Di. Thank you for saving me just now." The woman's reply was cold. "Helping you doesn't mean I want to get close to you." Tao Di gazed dreamily at the mysterious woman's fading silhouette, only to nearly jump out of her skin when Revolver suddenly leaned in behind her ear. "Sister-in-law, fancy running into you here," he teased. The sudden voice almost scared her soul away. When she saw it was Ji Yao's sworn brother, Revolver, Tao Di grew flustered. He asked, "Why didn't Big Bro come?" Tao Di hurriedly lied. "He had an emergency surgery." Revolver smirked with confidence. "Sister-in-law, you've been duped. He definitely doesn't have any urgent surgery today." He immediately pulled out his phone to call Ji Yao. Just after he left, another man's voice sounded behind her. "Xiaoya, is that you?" Tao Di turned around. The man realized his mistake, face red with embarrassment, and apologized. At that moment, Revolver clapped a hand on Tao Di's shoulder, grinning. "Sir, this lady's already taken. She's my sister-in-law. Don't use such a corny pickup line." The silver-haired man extended his hand politely. "Hello, I'm Gu Kai's, a lawyer. Pleased to meet you." Tao Di returned the greeting courteously. Not wanting anyone to take advantage of his sister-in-law, Revolver barged right between them. "Sis, here, I got you some cake and milk. Try it." Tao Di, embarrassed beyond words, could only accept the plate from his hands. Cut to Ji Yao in his office, focused on work, when his phone suddenly rang. It was a message from Revolver. A photo of Tao Di laughing and chatting with Gu Kai's. Along with it came a taunting note. Come here and show off your ownership of her. Ji Yao stared at the message, his face heavy with melancholy. Meanwhile, Revolver looked up and realized Tao Di had already vanished. Gu Kai's pointed toward the exit. Looking for Miss Tao? She just stepped outside for some air. Worried, Revolver rushed toward the door, muttering, "This sister-in-law, always giving me heart attacks." Outside, Tao Di staggered forward, her body growing hotter as if someone had drugged her. She crouched to splash her face with water, but instead collapsed straight into the pool. Revolver and Gu Kai's both sprinted to the poolside in alarm. Without hesitation, Gu Kai's dove in, seized the unconscious Tao Di and struggled back to the edge, finally hauling her safely onto the shore. Just then, Ji Yao appeared out of nowhere, seizing Tao Di from the poolside and pulling her tightly into his arms. Seeing Tao Di being carried off by a stranger, Gu Kai's rushed forward, grabbing Ji Yao's shoulder. "Sir, where are you taking Miss Tao?" Ji Yao's face darkened, his voice cold. "Move." But Gu Kai stood firm. "I can't let Miss Tao leave like this with someone I don't know." As the standoff grew tense, Revolver cut in with a laugh. "Easy there, Mr. Good Samaritan. You're overthinking it, they're husband and wife. Best keep some distance from another man's wife." Gu Kai's flushed in embarrassment and quickly apologized. "My mistake. I thought they didn't know each other, so..." Before he could finish, Ji Yao was already striding toward the exit, Tao Di cradled securely in his arms. Cut to a suite in a 5-star hotel. Tao Di's consciousness was fading, her breath hot and shallow. "Ji Yao, are you my husband?" "You are, right?" she murmured. Ji Yao gave no reply, only watching her with deep concern. Under the drug's influence, Tao Di suddenly threw herself into his arms, burying her face against him and inhaling greedily. "I love your scent. It makes me feel safe," she whispered. Then, without warning, she pressed her lips against his. Ji Yao pushed her away sharply. "Calm down, don't do this." But the next moment, Tao Di fumbled at his shirt, tugging at the buttons as if the fabric was in her way. Ji Yao caught her hands at once, his tone firm. "Girl, stop. You'll regret this." Tao Di only gazed at him with glassy eyes, murmuring, "I won't regret it." The next morning, Tao Di woke to an unfamiliar room. Panic struck like thunder. "Where am I? What happened? How did I end up here?" Spotting a figure in the bathroom, she snapped in fury. "Are you sent by Shi Xinyu? Or by Jin Fei? You bastard, let's see who you really are." She stormed toward the bathroom. She flung the door open, only to find Ji Yao standing there. "Ji Yao," she gasped in shock. Her eyes welled up instantly as she dropped to her knees, sobbing. "I thought I'd been drugged and violated. Thank God it's you." Ji Yao brushed the tears from her face, a teasing glint in his eyes. "If it's me, would that make you happy?" Tao Di's heart twisted with conflict. She might not feel sparks of love with him yet, but she didn't dislike him either. And after all, they were husband and wife. It was only a matter of time. Ji Yao pulled her up firmly, his tone serious. "Nothing happened last night. You're safe." In truth, when the drug had taken hold, he had wrapped her tightly in a blanket. Hearing this, Tao Di's face flushed red, her gaze softening with gratitude. Then Ji Yao scooped her into his arms, laid her gently on the sofa, and knelt to slip shoes onto her feet. "Walking around barefoot will make you catch cold," he said with quiet concern. Just then the door burst open. Luan barged in, and the moment he saw the tender scene, he quickly covered his eyes with the shopping bag in his hand. "A gentleman doesn't peek. Bro, I bought the clothes, should be your wife's size." Ji Yao's voice was cold. "Leave it at the door. Wait outside." He then handed the clothes to Tao Di, telling her to change first and that he would take her out for a meal later. With that, he walked out of the room. Looking at the beautiful outfit inside the bag, Tao Di couldn't help but admire Ji Yao's thoughtfulness. He had even considered her change of clothes. After dropping off the clothes, Ji Yao left. Luan was already loitering by the staircase. Ji Yao's face turned cold. "Did you find out who drugged her?" Luan's confidence crumbled. He stammered, It was me. I just wanted to help little sis-in-law. You're like a block of wood." Before he could finish, Ji Yao's hand lashed out, a brutal slap across his face. His voice was razor sharp. "Try that again and I'll break your third leg." Zhuoluan collapsed onto the floor, wailing in grievance. "Bro, you hit too hard. I was only trying to help your relationship. A good heart gets treated like garbage." Just then, Tao Di peeked out from behind the wall and whispered, "Ji Yao, I've been waiting for you. When you didn't come back, I came looking." She lifted the clothes Zhuoluan had bought, smiling brightly. "Do they look good?" Ji Yao tried to keep up his cold facade, but Zhuoluan instantly exposed him. "Come on bro, stop pretending. You clearly love it, your ears are red." Ji Yao shot him a furious glare, silently warning him to shut up. Seeing Ji Yao's flushed ears, Tao Di couldn't help but feel a little shy herself. To cut through the awkwardness, Ji Yao casually wrapped his arm around Tao Di's shoulders and invited her to dinner. Under Ji Yao's overwhelming presence, Zhuoluan wisely found an excuse to slip away. Scene shifts to an upscale Western restaurant. Wanting to show her gratitude, Tao Di said, "Ji Yao, let me treat this meal." But Ji Yao refused flatly, insisting, "I don't spend women's money." Tao Di frowned with concern. "You're just an intern doctor. If I spend all your money, what will you do?" Ji Yao only smirked playfully, giving no answer. Just then, Shirsinyu and Ji Shouting appeared, greeting them warmly. "Xiao Di, Dr. Ji, what a coincidence, you're here too?" Shirsinyu chuckled. "This place isn't cheap. Can your husband even afford it? Maybe Shouting should pick up the tab." Tao Di shot back without hesitation. "No need. You're already showing such a strong pregnancy glow. Better save your money for yourself. After all, young Master Ji has a history, doesn't he?" Ji Shouting's face twisted with rage. "Tao Di, watch your mouth," he roared. Ji Yao's expression darkened, his icy gaze locking onto him. The cold pressure in his eyes made both Ji Shouting and Shirsinyu falter, their confidence slipping away. Just then, Shirsinyu noticed a waiter carrying 2 glasses of iced water. She deliberately stuck out her foot, tripping the waiter. Both glasses splashed all over Tao Di. Drenched and embarrassed, Tao Di glared, while Shirsinyu burst out laughing, pretending to show concern. "Xiao Di, are you all right?" Tao Di ignored her and quickly headed for the restroom. Shirsinyu followed, insisting on going with her. Catching sight of the kiss marks on Tao Di's neck, Shirsinyu cursed inwardly. "Shameless woman. Playing sweet with that broke doctor. Looks pure on the surface but secretly a slut. No wonder men lose their minds over her." Thinking back to Ji Shouting's cold attitude toward her at the engagement party, her rage boiled over. She yanked Tao Di by the collar and shouted, "You walk around flaunting those love bites as if begging everyone to know you're cheap and shameless." Before she could finish, a splash of cold water hit her square in the face. Tao Di smirked. "You look like you need to cool off." Then she added sharply, "I've heard some men can't keep it in during their wives' pregnancy. Did young Master Ji neglect you, and that's why you're so obsessed with other people's marriages? You're just jealous mine is happier." Shirsinyu, fuming, yanked Tao Di by the collar again and roared, "Jealous of you? Please. That broke doctor of yours isn't even worthy of carrying Shouting's shoes." Staring at Shirsinyu's twisted, almost deranged face, Tao Di thought to herself, "She looks like a lunatic. Could she actually do something extreme?" Suddenly, Shirsinyu raised her hand to slap Tao Di. Tao Di caught her wrist midair and snapped, "Shirsinyu, look at yourself. Ever since you got with Ji Shouting, you've turned into a venomous shrew. And if your precious Shouting cheats on you after marriage, what will you become then? Unlike you, my husband and I are truly in love." Enraged, Shirsinyu swung a kick, but Tao Di blocked it again and warned coldly, "You really want to fight me now? If you end up losing that baby, don't you dare blame me." Her words sparked a vicious idea in Shirsinyu's mind. Suddenly, she slapped herself hard across the face. Tao Di froze, completely dumbfounded. What on earth was she trying to do? The next second, Shirsinyu bolted out of the restroom, sobbing loudly, "Xiao Di, why would you hit me? What are you trying to do?" Hearing that, Tao Di instantly realized her malicious plan and rushed out after her. Shirsinyu threw herself into Ji Shouting's arms, tears streaming down her face as she wailed, "Xiao Di, I admit Shouting and I wronged you. I sincerely apologize. Just please don't be so hot-tempered. If you hit me again, it might hurt the baby." Tao Di immediately shot back coldly. She hit herself. "It has nothing to do with me." Of course, Ji Xiaoting didn't believe a word Tao Di said. The next second, his gaze landed on the kiss marks along Tao Di's neck and jealousy flared. So she really couldn't wait to roll around with another man? With a sudden shove, he pushed Tao Di away. Luckily, Ji Yao caught her before she could fall, his eyes blazing as he glared daggers at Ji Xiaoting. Once Tao Di regained her balance, Ji Yao's voice cut through the air like ice. "Girl, didn't I tell you? When someone bullies you, hit back." That chilling tone made both Ji Xiaoting and Shi Xinyu instinctively retreat a step. Clang! Ji Yao kicked a nearby bucket, sending it flying. A heartbeat later, it crashed straight into Ji Xiaoting's head with a resounding bang. Ji Xiaoting glared at Ji Yao with seething rage, shouting, "You damn pauper doctor! Are you tired of living? Who the hell do you think you are? I'll fight you to the end," he roared, charging straight at him. Ji Yao caught him by the head and violently flung him to the side. Bang! Ji Xiaoting crashed hard onto the floor while Shi Xinyu rushed over in panic. Ji Yao's face darkened, his voice cold as steel. "Control yourself. Don't ever lay a hand on my woman again." With that, he took Tao Di's hand and strode toward the exit without a backward glance. Ji Xiaoting glared at their retreating figures, hatred boiling inside him. This isn't over. Scene shifts outside. Tao Di beamed with delight and praised, "Ji Yao, you were so handsome beating Ji Xiaoting just now. If only you had been there yesterday." Ji Yao's face darkened. "Why didn't you call me yesterday?" he asked coldly. Tao Di looked guilty. "I was too embarrassed. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I ended up being drugged. To this day, I still don't know who did it." Ji Yao smirked slyly and leaned closer. "It was Suolun. He wanted to push us into consummating the marriage." Tao Di exploded with rage. "That bastard Suolun. Next time I'll teach him a lesson." Ji Yao answered casually, "Already did." Only then did Tao Di realize, Suolun's panda eyes earlier must have been Ji Yao's handiwork. She gently stroked Ji Yao's cheek, her voice earnest. "Thank you for doing so much for me. Other than my dad, you're probably the one who treats me the best." With that, she leaned in and planted a soft kiss on his forehead. Then, with a mischievous smile, she teased, "Ji Yao, how about we play a game called Imitating Love?" Ji Yao suddenly pulled her by the waist and crushed his lips onto hers. Suolun stormed into Ji Yao's office, fuming. "Big bro, you really need to control your wife, she's too much." Before he could finish, his phone rang again. Determined to prove his suffering, he quickly answered. A deep male voice came from the other end. "Hey, I saw your post on the Best Brothers Forever forum. I'm 6 feet 1 inch with long legs. If you're interested, let's exchange contacts and get to know each other better." Disgusted, Suolun hurled his phone away, crying out, "That number, I only just gave it to my sister-in-law and this is what happens." He pleaded, "Please just put in a good word for me with her. Tell her not to stay mad." Ji Yao didn't bother responding. He rose from his chair and headed for the door. Panicked, Suolun shouted, "Bro, where are you going?" Ji Yao's voice was cold. "You want me to speak for you? Fine. First, prepare me a detailed file on Tao Di." Scene shift. Ji Yao drove up to Tao Di's company to pick her up. The moment he stepped out of the car, a group of young women nearby practically swooned. Moments later, Tao Di walked out after work when someone suddenly called her name. Spotting Ji Yao waiting, she lit up with joy and ran straight toward him. But her foot slipped and she pitched forward, only to be caught midair by Ji Yao. A sharp pain shot through her ankle, making her body tremble. Ji Yao immediately crouched down, carefully checking her injury. Without hesitation, he scooped her up bridal style to take her to the hospital. The intimate gesture turned Tao Di's face crimson, while the onlooking women's hearts collectively shattered. Scene shifts again, to the hospital. Ji Yao gently applied medicine to Tao Di's swollen ankle, murmuring, "It might sting a little. Bear with it." Tao Di gazed at him with bliss, her voice soft and dreamy. "Ji Yao, you look so charming when you're serious. Are you always like this?" Around them, a few nurses whispered in disbelief that someone dared to act so casual around the infamous Dr. Ji. Ji Yao brushed his hand tenderly along her cheek. "Don't move. I'll get you some more medicine." Watching his tall figure walk away, Tao Di's lips curled into a secret smile. Maybe marrying a doctor isn't such a bad thing after all. Stepping out of the ward, Ji Yao immediately spotted Ji Xiaoting. Without a glance, he chose to ignore him and walked past with calm indifference. Ji Xiaoting's eyes turned venomous, glaring at him. I let you off the hook before, but now you really think I'm nothing, don't you? His lips curled into a sinister sneer. Jiao, you picked up a woman like Tao Di, a piece of trash who's had 2 abortions and brought her home like treasure. Does that make you happy? Ji Yao's eyes darkened instantly. Do you have proof? He asked coldly. Ji Xiaoting scoffed with confidence. Proof? Didn't you notice in bed? Both surgeries were done in this very hospital. Check the records yourself if you don't believe me. In a flash, Ji Yao seized Ji Xiaoting by the collar and slammed him against the wall. His voice thundered, Tao Di has no such record. I believe what I see with my own eyes, not your filthy lies. His gaze turned razor-sharp as he warned, spread baseless rumors again and you'll pay the price. With that, he released his grip. Ji Xiaoting collapsed to the ground, face twisted in disbelief. How could there be no abortion record? I saw her hospitalized back then. After a long while, Shi Xinyu came rushing over, whining, shouting, why are you sitting on the floor? I've been waiting forever. Without you by my side for the prenatal checkup, I was so scared. She reached out to help him up, but Ji Xiaoting stared blankly at her and asked, Xinyu, did Tao Di ever have an abortion here at this hospital? The question made Shi Xinyu's face stiffen instantly. Why are you suddenly asking that? She stammered. Ji Xiaoting yanked her wrist violently, roaring, is it true? Shi Xinyu scrambled for an excuse. Shouting, I promised Xiao Di I'd keep her secret. The past is the past. We're about to get married. Can't you just let it go? Without a clear answer, Ji Xiaoting flung her hand away in frustration. He then strode out of the hospital alone, his mind racing. If Xiao Di never betrayed me, then it means Xinyu lied. I'll get to the bottom of this. Shi Xinyu stormed to Tao Di's apartment with Tao Di's mother in tow, pounding furiously on the door. Tao Di, you shameless slut. Get out here. I know you skipped work today, open the door. Her mother tried to calm her down. Xinyu, don't get so worked up, mind the baby. The door swung open. Tao Di glared, annoyed. What do you want this time? Before she could finish, a bouquet of roses smacked her in the face with a sharp thud. Shi Xinyu shrieked, bitch, go to hell. Rage flared in Tao Di's eyes. Shi Xinyu, have you lost your mind? But her mother shielded Shi Xinyu instead, shouting, she's pregnant and you're still meddling between them. You're the crazy one. Shi Xinyu spat venomously, you whore, seducing, shouting, playing the hypocritical saint. Didn't you say you'd never touch a man I'd been with? Then why are you trying to steal him back? Tao Di froze, baffled, not understanding what they were talking about. Her gaze fell on the tag tucked in the bouquet and realization struck. Today was her birthday and the flowers were from Ji Xiaoting. Tao Di's voice trembled with fury. Mom, is this your special birthday gift to me? Dragging Shi Xinyu here just to insult your own daughter? Don't you know my temper by now? Her mother was left speechless, her face stiff with guilt. Tao Di turned to Shi Xinyu, her tone icy. Let me be clear. He sent these flowers on his own. I don't want him. Instead of barking here, tell him to stop shamelessly pestering me. Shi Xinyu sneered back, refusing to believe it. If you weren't seducing him, why would shouting still look your way? Nothing you do will change that. Her voice dripped with poison. Because in his heart, you're nothing but a slut who sleeps around. A broken shoe who's had 2 abortions. Hearing those words, Tao Di felt as if thunder had struck out of a clear sky, leaving her frozen in place. Beside her, Tao Di's mother desperately begged Shi Xinyu to stop talking. But Shi Xinyu ignored her, sneering as she exposed the truth. Half a year ago, when you were hospitalized for gastritis, I deliberately made him believe you had an abortion. Do you know why he believed me so easily? Because your mother backed me up. Tao Di's mother tried to cover her mouth, but it was already too late. Only now did Tao Di realize why Ji Xiaoting had treated her that way. Heartbroken, she demanded of her mother. Why? What benefit did Shi Xinyu give you? Is it because she's dying and you want to fulfill her last wish? Her mother stood there in guilty silence, but Shi Xinyu snapped, watch your mouth. With that, she raised her hand, ready to strike Tao Di. Just then, Ji Xiaoting suddenly appeared, roaring, you disgusting woman. In front of me you put on a facade of kindness and grace, but behind my back you're this vicious. His sudden arrival left Shi Xinyu and Tao Di's mother panicked. Flustered, they asked, shouting, why are you here? Ji Shouting's face was dark as he snapped. I deliberately had my secretary leak the news, just to catch you showing your true colors. Xiao Di really was innocent. You two conspired to make me misunderstand her. Shi Xinyu scrambled to explain herself, but Ji Shouting refused to listen. Instead, he suddenly reached out, trying to grab Tao Di's hand, his voice filled with remorse. I'm sorry, Xiao Di. Back then, I was foolish enough to believe their lies and destroyed what we had. Please forgive me. But Tao Di pulled away in disgust, slapping his hand aside with a sharp smack. Don't make me sick. You believed rumors without ever asking me and later disgraced yourself in my home, on our marriage bed. Why should I forgive you? She glared coldly and declared, I'm happily married now. If you feel guilty, then stay out of my new life for good. The moment Ji Shouting spoke of reconciling with Tao Di, Shi Xinyu rushed forward, clutching his arm in panic. Shouting, we're already engaged. Our baby is about to be born. Before she could finish, Ji Shouting cut her off with a furious roar. Stop using the child to threaten me. Driven to madness by her schemes, Ji Shouting snapped. Shi Xinyu, you venomous woman. I'm breaking off our engagement. But Shi Xinyu clung to his arm with all her strength, refusing to let go. Suddenly, Ji Shouting shoved her away with brute force. Tao Di's mother tried to rush forward to catch her, but it was too late. Shi Xinyu crashed to the floor with a painful scream. The shocking scene left Tao Di completely stunned, frozen where she stood. Then Ji Shouting slowly advanced toward her, his face twisted with malice, and demanded, divorce your husband now, and be with me again. Tao Di's world spun upside down. Terrified, she shouted, Ji Shouting, you're insane. Shi Xinyu may be vile, but she's carrying your child. Yet you're asking me to be with you. Shi Xinyu writhed on the floor, clutching her stomach in agony while Tao Di's mother screamed, shouting, come check on Xinyu now. But Ji Shouting ignored them completely, showing not the slightest concern. Tao Di could no longer bear his cruelty. Without hesitation, she pulled out her phone and called for an ambulance. Outside the emergency room, Mrs. Yuan's face twisted with rage as she shouted at Tao Di, this is your fault. Xinyu is hurt because of you. How am I supposed to explain this to the Shi family and the Ji family? At that moment, Ji Shouting's mother hurried into the hospital. The second she saw Tao Di, her expression went feral and she snapped, how dare you harm my grandson? With that, she raised her hand and slapped Tao Di across the face, snarling, Tao Di, you chose to marry that poor doctor. Why are you scheming against Xinyu and Shouting's child? Tao Di swallowed her rage and forced out an explanation. Aunt Yuan, I didn't set anything up. They started the fight. I respect you as an elder, so I'll endure this slap, but there won't be a next time. Ji's mother erupted in anger, hurling insults. You little brat, how dare you speak to me like that? No manners. She raised her hand to strike again. Just then, Ji Shouting grabbed his mother's arm and voice low intervened. Mom, this isn't Xiaodi's fault. I pushed Shi Xinyu. If anyone should be punished, punish me, okay? Just then, the doors of the emergency room swung open. Ji's mother rushed forward, anxiously asking the doctor, how's my grandson? The doctor replied solemnly, the patient is stable, but I'm sorry, the child couldn't be saved. She'll be moved to a ward for recovery. Ji Shouting lowered his head, grief flickering in his eyes. Tao Di stood in shock. After all of Shi Xinyu's scheming, after finally having a child, it was Ji Shouting himself who destroyed it. Beside her, Tao Di's mother screamed at her, are you satisfied now? Because of you, Xinyu lost Shouting, lost her child. How is she supposed to live? Suddenly, Ji's mother shoved Tao Di's mother aside and lunged at Tao Di. You vixen! You killed my grandson. She shouted furiously. Zhang Huilin raised her daughter without discipline, so I'll teach you myself. With that, she raised her hand to slap Tao Di. At the last moment, Ji Shouting stepped in front of her, shielding Tao Di. The slap landed hard across his own face. Ji's mother stared in disbelief. Son, are you insane? Why are you protecting her? Xinyu miscarried because of you, and you're still defending Tao Di. Ji Shouting's eyes burned with resolve as he declared, because I still love her, and I want to marry her. In the next second, he reached out to embrace Tao Di, but she recoiled instantly, her face full of disgust. Ji's mother shoved Ji Shouting aside and lunged at Tao Di again. At that critical moment, Ji Yao appeared behind Tao Di, wrapping an arm around her and pulling her back. narrowly dodging Ji's mother's strike. Tao Di stared at the man before her in shock. But Ji shouting still reached out toward her, shouting, "Xiao Di, come to me." With a sharp smack, Ji Yao slapped his hand away and said coldly, "She's my wife. Show some respect." Ji shouting sneered, his tone venomous. "Xiao Di and I are back together. How much will it take for you to divorce her?" Ji Yao shot Tao Di a questioning look. She quickly explained, "Ji Yao, don't listen to his nonsense. I only stepped in because I couldn't watch a pregnant woman bleed to death in front of me." Realizing the truth, Ji Yao immediately took Tao Di by the hand and led her toward the door, intent on taking her home. Back at home, Ji Yao carefully pressed an ice pack against Tao Di's swollen cheek. Seeing how her once beautiful face had nearly been ruined, his eyes were filled with pain and tenderness. Just then Tao Di's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Ji shouting. Ji Yao glanced at the screen and his expression darkened. In a cold voice he said, "You still keep his number? Delete it. All of it." But Tao Di only gazed at the man before her with starry eyes, secretly thinking how adorable her jealous man was. She suddenly threw her arms around his and said earnestly, "Ji Yao, don't worry. I'm not the kind of woman who wavers. You're my husband and I'll take responsibility for you." Ji Yao's face instantly flushed red and he turned his head away in embarrassment. Seeing him act so shy, Tao Di couldn't resist the urge to tease him. She lifted his chin with a playful finger, her eyes full of charm, and leaned in close to his ear, whispering seductively, "Ji Yao, tonight I want you to have dinner with me." As she spoke, she deliberately blew a warm breath into his ear. Ji Yao froze, staring blankly at Tao Di, then suddenly pressed his lips against hers. The scene shifted. Tao Di had already set out a birthday cake, quietly waiting for Ji Yao to return. Suddenly the doorbell rang. Smiling brightly, Tao Di stood up, ready to greet him. But halfway there she froze. Her heart skipped a beat. Ji Yao had taken his keys with him. Why would he be ringing the bell? She cautiously walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. Outside stood Ji shouting, soaked to the skin, clutching a bouquet of red roses. Looking disheveled and desperate, he pleaded, "Xiao Di, open the door. I came just to celebrate your birthday. Please, let's talk." Inside, Tao Di's expression darkened. She answered coldly, "I already promised to celebrate with my husband. Leave now, I don't want him to misunderstand." But Ji shouting only wept harder, professing his undying love for her. For a fleeting moment, Tao Di couldn't help recalling the happy times she once shared with him. Suddenly, a sharp thud echoed from outside. Tao Di rushed to the peephole again, but Ji shouting was gone. She swung the door open and found him sprawled on the ground in pain. At first, Tao Di wanted to ignore him. But then she realized, if something really happened to him right at her doorstep, she'd be the one dragged into the trouble. The scene shifted. Tao Di helped the weakened Ji shouting inside, laying him down on the sofa. But the next second, Ji shouting suddenly sat up, ripping open his shirt and lunging at her, clutching her tightly in his arms. His eyes burned with madness as he leaned close and muttered, "If they hadn't interfered, you would have been Mrs. G. It should have been you." Tao Di's face twisted in terror. She struggled desperately, screaming for help. Ji shouting ignored Tao Di's desperate cries, pinning her wrists to the floor as he loomed over her with madness in his eyes. Tao Di's face was streaked with tears as she struggled and screamed, "Let me go." Suddenly, with a loud clang, a set of keys smashed straight into Ji shouting's face. Ji Yao's eyes burned like a killer's glare as he locked onto his target. Tao Di, seeing him appear, immediately cried out for help. But Ji shouting snarled, "Didn't expect you back so soon." A little later and Xiao Di would have been mine again. Enraged by his shameless words, Ji Yao lunged forward. Bang! His fist crashed squarely into Ji shouting's face. He then pulled Tao Di gently into his arms, guilt written on his face. "I'm sorry, I came back too late." Before he could finish, Ji shouting lunged again, swinging a vicious kick. Tao Di screamed, "Ji Yao, watch out." Ji Yao ducked low, narrowly dodging the attack. He quickly set Tao Di aside and darted to the side. Snatching the keys off the floor, he hurled them once more at Ji shouting. As they whistled through the air, Ji shouting raised his arms in defense. Ji Yao seized the moment, sweeping his leg hard across Ji shouting's lower body. Ji shouting crashed to the floor. Ji Yao leapt on top of him, hands tightening around his throat as he roared, What were you trying to do to her just now? But Ji shouting only sneered, his voice hoarse yet defiant. I was just doing what should have been done. Xiao Di is mine, she was meant to marry me. Do you really think she loves you? She's just using you for fun. Hearing those words, Ji Yao's grip on Ji Shouting's throat tightened as he growled darkly, Shut up. Tao Di, afraid he might actually kill him, quickly pleaded, Ji Yao, let him go. He's not worth it. Ji Yao listened, slowly loosening his hand. In the next instant, Tao Di swung her hand and slapped Ji Shouting hard across the face. I found you burning with fever outside my door and I let you in out of kindness, yet you tried to force yourself on me, she shouted. Shaking with fury, she glared at him. Sure, Sinew may have ruined our past, but what destroyed the very last shred of respect I had for you is you. She pointed at him coldly. Get out of my house. Now. Ji Shouting glared back with venom in his eyes and spat, You'll regret this someday. With a loud bang, he slammed the door on his way out. Ji Yao immediately pulled Tao Di into his arms, murmuring comfort. Blushing, Tao Di whispered, Ji Yao, in that moment of crisis, all I could think about was you. With that, she leaned forward and kissed him. Ji Yao's face flushed crimson, her blunt confession igniting the emotions he had long restrained. Sweeping her into his arms, he strode quickly toward the bedroom. Their eyes locked in a burning gaze, the atmosphere between them thick with passion as the room seemed to heat up instantly. The next morning, Tao Di walked toward the company with a bright smile. Memories of the birthday gift Ji Yao had given her last night, and his overwhelming strength, flashed through her mind. Her cheeks burned red as she thought to herself. At last, she and Ji Yao had truly become husband and wife. At the company entrance, she steadied her emotions. Pushing the doors open, she greeted cheerfully, Good morning, everyone. But the moment her colleagues saw her, the room fell into an awkward silence. Not a single person replied. Tao Di blinked in confusion. What's going on? Why is everyone looking at me like this? Did I do something wrong? Just then, her closest colleague rushed over and pulled her toward a computer. With a tense expression, she whispered, Xiao Di, check the group email. Look at the video. Tell me if that's really you. Tao Di clicked open the attachment, and the screen instantly lit up with an intimate bedroom scene. When the camera caught the woman's face, Tao Di's eyes widened in horror. It was her own face. Around her, colleagues began to murmur, Wow, Tao Di's really that kind of woman? I never thought she'd be so open. Enraged by the slander, Tao Di shouted, The woman in that video isn't me. I've never seduced anyone. A sleazy-looking man stepped forward, grinning wickedly as he pointed at her. It's you. I watched it several times. It's your voice. Who knew you were so wild in private? Tao Di's fury finally erupted. With a loud crash, she kicked a chair aside. The noise shocked the entire office into silence. Her eyes blazed with resolve as she declared, That woman is not me. I'll prove it, I'll find the evidence. Surrounded by whispers and gossip, Tao Di forced herself to stay strong, determined to uncover the truth and clear her name. Just then, the office doors burst open and Jean Fei stormed in, shouting, Tao Di, you vixen. You slept with your best friend's fiancé and even caused her miscarriage. Aren't you afraid of retribution? She rushed up to Tao Di and flung a stack of photos into the air. As the images scattered across the floor, everyone gasped. Unbelievable. I thought the video might have been fake, but it's true. Tao Di's got tricks, juggling so many men. Some of the male co-workers even muttered under their breath, Why didn't she come to me? Wonder how much a night would cost. Yet, under the barrage of whispers and stares, Tao Di remained perfectly calm. Suddenly, she stood up and delivered a resounding slap across Jean Fei's face. Shocked, Jean Fei clutched her cheek and screamed, You bitch! How dare you hit me? Tao Di didn't hesitate, she swung again and again, landing 3 more sharp slaps. Shaking her tingling hand, she glared coldly. You dare barge into my turf with your fake photos? Smearing my name? Tearing your face apart would still be too kind. I was wondering who set me up. Never thought the fool would jump out and expose herself. Jean Fei, her face swollen and red, still spat defiantly, These are all facts. A private investigator followed you and took them. At those words, Tao Di smirked coldly and strode toward Jean Fei. Let's see who's bluffing here. We'll settle this one by one. First, my so-called scandal video? Its source is right there on a certain website. Jin Fei's face froze in disbelief. Tao Di immediately told a coworker to share the link with everyone in the office. When her colleagues opened it, the truth became obvious. The woman in the video was someone else entirely. Awkward silence spread across the room. Tao Di pressed on. Second accusation, me seducing my best friend's fiancé and causing her miscarriage? Everyone here knows the history between Ji Xiaoting, Shi Xinyu and me. Who seduced whom doesn't need my explanation. Then she raised her chin proudly. Third, I hereby invite all of you to my wedding. When the time comes, you'll see the truth for yourselves. Behind her, Jin Fei, realizing she had been exposed, tried to slip quietly toward the door. Tao Di yanked her backpack with a mocking grin. What's wrong, Jin Fei? Family bankrupt? Did Shi Xinyu buy you off with just one designer bag? Flustered and desperate to escape, Jin Fei wrenched the bag free and bolted toward the exit. As Tao Di watched her flee in disgrace, the manager walked over, patting Tao Di on the shoulder with an awkward smile. Xiao Di, everyone knows you were framed. Still, this whole mess left a bad impression on the company. I'll give you a few days off. Take the time to calm down. Tao Di was forced to take a leave of absence from work. To lift her spirits, Ji Yao took her on a carefree shopping spree. Beaming with happiness, Tao Di leaned against him, holding up her ice cream. Uncle, want a bite? Instead, Ji Yao bent down and licked the bit of ice cream from the corner of her lips. In the middle of the crowded street, the bold move made Tao Di blush scarlet. She pounded shyly against his chest in protest. Just then, Ji Yao caught sight of a familiar figure in the distance. He quickly turned her around and said softly, "Come on, let's head to the supermarket downstairs and pick up some groceries for dinner." What he had seen was shocking. Tao Di's mother, Zhang Huilin, in the arms of Shi Huayan. Shi Huayan kissed her on the forehead, and Zhang Huilin responded with a bashful, submissive smile. The scene shifted to a hospital office. Ji Yao spoke bluntly, "Zuoluan, how's the investigation on Tao Di coming along? And did you look into Zhang Huilin's relationship with Tao Dequan?" Zuoluan replied, "It'll take a few more days to confirm the accuracy of the intel on sis-in-law. As for her parents, I only did a quick check." Mid-sentence he caught himself, then asked cautiously, "Boss, you don't actually suspect Zhang Huilin, do you? She's always siding with Shi Xinyu. Maybe there really is something shady going on." He muttered in frustration, even if Shi Xinyu is really an illegitimate daughter, showing that much favoritism is just unfair to sis-in-law. Ji Yao's aura instantly turned icy. He shot to his feet, his face dark. "My wife doesn't need your concern. And this investigation, keep it quiet. Above all, Tao Di must not know." Zuoluan nodded immediately, obediently agreeing. The scene shifted. Tao Di arrived at the hospital in a light summer outfit, planning to surprise Ji Yao. As she passed by the dean's office, she suddenly heard Ji Xiaoting's voice. She quickly hid behind the door and peeked inside, seeing Ji Xiaoting in discussion with the hospital dean. Ji Xiaoting wore an air of arrogance as he ordered, "I want you to fire Ji Yao immediately, or send him off to some remote mountain hospital as a volunteer." The dean's face tightened with hesitation. When he didn't respond, Ji Xiaoting slid a check for 50 million across the desk. The dean promptly pushed the check back. That gesture infuriated Ji Xiaoting. Slamming the desk, he snarled, "Dean, if you're this stubborn, you'll regret it." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. After Ji Xiaoting left, the dean sat back with his eyes closed, lost in thought. This Ji Xiaoting has no idea who he's dealing with. If he provokes Dr. Ji any further, even my position as dean might not be safe. Outside the office, Ji Xiaoting kept cursing under his breath. Suddenly, a round of clapping came from behind. Tao Di's tone dripped with mockery as she said, "Bravo, Mr. Ji. Today's little performance was truly eye-opening." Ji Xiaoting froze, embarrassment flashing across his face. "Xiao Di, you heard all that?" Tao Di nodded, raising her phone. "Every word. And I recorded it. I was just about to upload it online." Panic spread across Ji Xiaoting's face. He rushed to explain, "Xiao Di, I only did this for you. I just want you back at my side." Tao Di cut him off coldly. "If anything happens to Ji Yao's position, I'll release this recording immediately." Ji Xiaoting's eyes blazed with fury as he glared at her. Tao Di ignored him, turning on her heel to leave. But after only a few steps, she stumbled straight into a man's arms. Just as she was about to apologize, Ji Yao had already pulled her tightly into his embrace. From the side, Suolun couldn't help but praise, "Sis-in-law, those words were perfect just now." The next moment he flashed a mischievous grin and swaggered toward Ji Shouting. Bang! His fist smashed squarely into Ji Shouting's face. Ji Shouting staggered back, glaring venomously at Suolun, yet he didn't dare fight back. Seeing his cowardice, Suolun turned proudly to Ji Yao, clearly fishing for praise. But when he looked back again, Ji Shouting had already bolted from the scene. Outside the Tao family home, Tao Di carefully straightened Ji Yao's clothes and whispered, "Don't be nervous. I'll protect you." Ji Yao's face lit up with happiness as he pulled her into a warm embrace. Just then the gates swung open. Tao Dequan, seeing the couple's affection even after their flash marriage, broke into a relieved smile and quickly welcomed his son-in-law inside. In the main hall, Zhang Huilin sneered sarcastically, "So it's true, once a daughter marries she's just spilled water. We even had to beg her to come home." Tao Dequan immediately tried to smooth things over. "What matters most is that our daughter's marriage is happy. Ji Yao, please take the main seat." But Zhang Huilin, showing no regard for her husband's dignity, suddenly stood and snapped, "I've lost my appetite. I'm not eating." Bang! Tao Dequan slammed his hand on the table, roaring, "Sit down." Startled by his rare display of anger, Zhang Huilin quickly shifted into a pitiful act. "Dequan, I only said a few words for your sake. Ever since their flash marriage you've been so anxious you can't eat or sleep. My heart aches for you." Hearing this, Tao Di felt a pang of guilt. She rushed into her father's arms and reassured him softly, "Dad, I'm really happy. Please don't worry." Zhang Huilin once again brought up Shi Sinyu's miscarriage, stressing how it had caused massive losses to the company. Tao Di, still wanting to salvage the situation, offered to go to the Shi family and explain everything herself. Seeing his woman being humiliated like this, Ji Yao's expression turned dark. He pulled out a chair for Tao Di and said coldly, "Uncle, if you want evidence I can provide it. I have all the hallway surveillance footage. More than enough to prove who truly brought this upon themselves." Zhang Huilin snapped furiously, "What good are recordings? Tao Di's entanglement with Ji Shouting is what made Shi Sinyu come after her. Everyone says Tao Di's just a shameless vixen without a proper upbringing." Her words ignited Tao Dequan's rage. He slammed his fist on the table and roared, "Shi Sinyu was caught cheating in our own house, she's the real vixen." The argument spiraled out of control. Tao Di, at a loss, turned her pleading eyes toward Ji Yao. Catching her signal, Ji Yao spoke up with an edge to his voice. "Auntie, you seem unusually familiar with the Shi family. Just yesterday I saw Shi Huaiyan at the mall." He didn't look the least bit worried about his daughter. In fact, he had a lady by his side. Zhang Huilin's face drained of color. She asked nervously, "Did you see who that lady was?" Ji Yao replied with certainty, his tone cutting, crystal clear. "Her hairstyle and outfit looked exactly like yours, Auntie." Before he could finish, Zhang Huilin hastily interrupted, "Oh, I was only asking out of curiosity. No need to gossip. Dequan has been looking forward to this meal. Let's just eat." After dinner, Tao Dequan asked Tao Di to join him in the study. Watching the father and daughter walk away, Zhang Huilin suddenly said, "Ji Yao, I need to talk to you. About what you saw at the mall yesterday I can explain. Please don't spread nonsense." Ji Yao took a slow sip of his coffee and replied coolly, "Auntie, no need to explain. I don't care what's going on between you and Shi Huaiyan. What I do know is that Xiaodi wants a mother's love. Maybe you could spare half of the love you lavish on Shi Sinyu and give it to her." Zhang Huilin froze on the spot, stunned by his words. She suddenly jumped to her feet and shouted, "Where did you hear that? What proof do you have to spout such lies?" Seeing her overreaction, Ji Yao thought to himself, Shi Sinyu's background really must be questionable. With a sharp clack, he slammed his cup down on the table. His voice turned cold. "I've already laid my terms and leverage on the table. Whether I'm lying or not, you know it better than anyone." Guilt flashing in her eyes, Zhang Huilin quickly softened her tone, putting on a gentle facade. "Xiaodi is my daughter. Of course I'll love her and treat her well." Moments later, hurried footsteps echoed. Tao Di ran toward Ji Yao with a bright smile and shouted, "Ji Yao, catch me." She leapt into his arms, eyes sparkling with joy. Good news. I finally got Dad to genuinely accept you. Ji Yao chuckled and replied, I've got good news too. I reached an agreement with your mother. From now on, she'll play the role of a proper mom. Whatever you ask her to do, she'll do it. As he spoke, he playfully smacked her on the butt. The bold gesture made Tao Di blush instantly. She decided to put her mother to the test. She hurried over to Zhang Huilin and said sweetly, Mom, I feel like eating some fruit. Could you make me a fruit platter? Zhang Huilin's face twisted with frustration, but she tossed aside the remote control and begrudgingly got up. A moment later, she returned with the platter, forcing a smile as she set it down beside Tao Di. Tao Di looked at her with a mischievous grin. Thanks, Mom. But suddenly I feel so full, I don't think I can eat a bite. Zhang Huilin's anger erupted on the spot. With a loud clang, she slammed the fruit plate down on the table. The sharp noise snapped her back to her senses. Forcing a calm facade, she said, It's fine. I just have a headache. I'll go rest now. When you leave later, don't bother saying goodbye. Tao Dequan walked them to the gate, reminding them warmly, Take good care of each other and come home whenever you can. Watching her father's back fade into the distance, Tao Di murmured, The man who loves me most in this world is my dad. I've really worried him too much. Ji Yao wrapped his arm around her shoulder and said with firm sincerity, From now on, the man who loves you the most will be me. The very next second, he flashed a cheeky grin and teased, Honey, how about we do something a little naughty right here? Before he could finish, Tao Di snapped in mock outrage. Sir, you're speeding way too hard. I suggest an immediate arrest. Ji Yao only pointed ahead. Tao Di followed his gaze and saw a dazzling diamond sparkling under the lights, her eyes instantly lighting up. But when she spotted the nearly 9 million price tag, her excitement was doused like a bucket of cold water. Just as Ji Yao reached for his wallet, Tao Di quickly stopped him. I appreciate it, but I don't need a ring that expensive. Instead, she dragged him toward a dessert shop. The only thing that can make me happy today isn't a diamond, it's ice cream. With mock authority, she declared. Ji Yao marched to the dessert shop immediately. Ji Yao only chuckled and came up with an excuse for her to head inside first while he lingered behind. A moment later, Tao Di stepped out of the shop, beaming with joy as she held 2 ice cream cones. Out of nowhere, Ji Yao wrapped his arms around her from behind, sliding a pure white rose into view. That simple gesture of romance instantly painted her face with pure happiness. Without hesitation, she flagged down a taxi, tugging Ji Yao inside. Let's go home. I have something I need to do right now, not a second to waste. The scene shifted as Tao Di dragged Ji Yao into the room in a rush. Ji Yao looked utterly confused. What's going on, girl? Without answering, Tao Di shoved him onto the bed, tearing open his shirt as she straddled his lap. She pressed her lips against his, her sudden assault leaving Ji Yao momentarily stunned. He quickly pushed her back and Tao Di stared at him in bewilderment, not understanding what was happening. Then Ji Yao dropped to one knee, pulling out a diamond ring worth tens of millions. His eyes were deadly serious as he said, Mrs. Ji, will you marry me? The gravity of the proposal made Tao Di's whole body tremble. After a long build-up, she finally managed to whisper, I do. She kissed him deeply, thinking to herself, I believe you're the one. Please don't ever let me down. The scene cut again. Clothes scattered across the living room floor and soft, teasing sounds drifted from the bedroom. Tao Di murmured, Ji Yao, you've got work tomorrow. Ji Yao, drenched in sweat and holding her limp body close, chuckled, The night is long, we've got plenty of time. By noon the next day, Tao Di, fully recovered, happily arrived at the hospital with a homemade lunch to nourish Ji Yao. As she reached his office, a loud thud echoed from inside, followed by an angry voice. What future do you have wasting your time in this dump? With a sharp bang, Tao Di slammed the door open and shouted, How dare you talk to my husband like that? I'll call security to throw you out. The old man sneered with disgust. Where did this rude brat come from? Barging in without even knocking. Ji Yao quickly stood up and gently explained to Tao Di, Girl, this is my biological father. Then he turned to his father, his tone icy. Tao Di is my legal wife. She doesn't need to knock when she walks into my office. The old man looked as if he'd been struck by lightning. He roared, Who gave you the guts? A Ji family man doesn't marry just anyone. Divorce her immediately. Ji Yao, unwilling to argue, cut him off coldly. We're about to eat. Leave. Tao Di cautiously stepped forward, lowering her head like a guilty child. Hello, father-in-law. My name is Tao Di, Ji Yao's wife. I didn't know your identity earlier and may have offended you. But Ji Yao and I truly love each other. We will never divorce. The moment Ji's father caught sight of the dazzling diamond on her hand, he instantly branded her a gold digger. His voice turned cold. How much money will it take for you to leave him? Ji Yao's fury erupted at once. Ever since you brought that mistress home after mother died, our bond as father and son was severed. You have no right to lecture me in the name of family. Get out of here. Ji's father trembled with rage, shouting, Ungrateful son. So you'd rather protect this woman? Very well. With that, he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Though Ji Yao's heart ached, he still pulled Tao Di close, his voice gentle. Don't worry. We'll never get divorced. Suddenly, Tao Di gave Ji Yao a firm push, pressing him down into his chair. The abrupt move left him completely baffled. The next second, she hopped up onto the desk, her tone playful yet shy. You still have work this afternoon. How can you keep going with that mood? Let your wife spoil you. Here, rest on my lap for a while. Ji Yao obediently laid his head down. The irritation in his chest melted away, and before he knew it, he had drifted into a peaceful sleep. After a long while, Tao Di gently woke him. Ji Yao, wake up. You've still got half an hour left for lunch break. Eat something, it's still warm. She pressed a kiss on his forehead and whispered, I'll head out first. Wait for me at home tonight. The scene cut to a flustered nurse rushing up to Ji Yao. Dr. Ji, your wife ran into a crazy woman with a knife on the way here. She's waiting in room 8006. Before the nurse finished, Ji Yao's face went white with worry and he sprinted toward the room. Bang! The ward door was slammed open. Tao Di threw herself into his arms, sobbing, I was terrified. This lunatic mistook me for her husband's mistress and lunged at me with a knife. The woman kept screaming, Fu Jingjing, I'll kill you, and slashed the blade toward Tao Di. In that split second, Ji Shouting suddenly leapt forward and used his body to shield the attack. Ji Yao fell silent, hands steady as he examined Tao Di's wounds. After carefully cleaning and bandaging the cut, he asked softly, They took the woman to the police, right? When Tao Di nodded, he gently wiped her tears away. I'll call Swalloon. Sit tight and don't move, okay? A moment later, Tao Di was still admiring Ji Yao's careful bandaging on her hand. Suddenly, Ji Shouting coughed weakly from the hospital bed. Xiao Di, are you all right? Come closer and let me take a look. Tao Di instinctively stepped back, her tone icy. You nearly lost your life saving me and I'm grateful. But if I had a choice, I'd rather it hadn't been you. I don't want any more ties with you. Seeing her so heartless, Ji Shouting's eyes flickered with calculation. Putting on a pitiful act, he whispered, Xiao Di, my wound hurts so much. Could you stay and take care of me? Once I recover, I swear I won't bother you again. Tao Di's face darkened, her voice sharp. Young Master Ji, I'm Ji Yao's wife. It's not proper for me to serve another man. I'll hire the best caregiver for you and I'll cover all the expenses. Just then, Shi Xinyu rushed into the ward and shoved Tao Di aside. She hurried to Ji Shouting's bedside, crying out, Shouting, are you all right? You scared me half to death. Watching this cheap little act between the shameless pair, Tao Di felt nothing but disgust. Sickened, she immediately turned and headed for the door. Xiao Di, don't go. Ji Shouting suddenly shouted from the bed, desperation in his voice. But Shi Xinyu blocked her path, putting on a fake look of righteousness. Xiao Di, I've tolerated you again and again for the sake of our past friendship. But today you made Shouting bleed. I won't let it slide. I'll teach you a lesson. With that, she raised her hand and swung down toward Tao Di. Smack. Tao Di caught her wrist mid-air, eyes blazing. Since you don't care about your dignity, I'll gladly help you lose it. He grabbed Shi Xinyu by the collar and yanked hard. Rip. A swath of pale skin was suddenly exposed. Tao Di sneered, Go dig through the trash I tossed you in, and shoved her forcefully. Shi Xinyu stumbled backward, straight onto Ji Shouting's most vulnerable spot. His scream tore through the ward. Horrified, Shi Xinyu jumped off the bed, stammering, Shouting, I didn't mean to. Ji Shouting's eyes burned with fury as he snarled, Get out. The scene shifted. Tao Di happily clung to Ji Yao's arm as they headed home from work. Snuggling into his chest with a playful pout, she said, "Ji Yao, could you invite Suoluan over tonight? I need a favor from him." Ji Yao's expression darkened instantly. "What kind of favor?" he asked coldly. Tao Di only gave him a mysterious smile, refusing to answer. Earlier that evening, while Ji Yao had stepped out to take out the trash, Suoluan suddenly showed up at Tao Di's place. The moment he saw her, he dropped to his knees, clinging to her leg as he pleaded, "Sister-in-law, please, just ask the boss directly. He'll solve anything for you. If he finds out you went behind his back to me, he'll be furious." Tao Di's face flushed with embarrassment as she stammered, "Actually, I just wanted someone strong, maybe a bit rough, to act as a caregiver for a certain patient." Realization hit Suoluan immediately and he grinned with confidence. "Say no more. Leave it to me." Just then, Ji Yao pushed the door open, utterly baffled by the awkward scene inside. The air in the room dropped several degrees as his face darkened, about to speak. Terrified, Suoluan burst into tears and rushed toward him, wailing, "Boss, don't misunderstand. Don't give me that murderous look. I'm innocent." Ji Yao sidestepped and with a loud thud, Suoluan slammed straight into the wall. Tao Di hurriedly explained what had just happened. When Ji Yao realized she wanted to hire a caregiver for Ji Shouting, his expression turned stormy. Tao Di quickly clarified, "I just wanted someone tough enough to keep him in line. I didn't ask you because I didn't want to trouble you with something so trivial." Ji Yao pinched her cheek gently, his voice both stern and doting. "From now on, no matter how small it is, you come to me. Don't let it happen again." During the meal, Ji Yao told Suoluan to leave, only for Suoluan to stubbornly refuse. "I'm not going anywhere. I haven't even revealed the big scoop yet," he declared. Tao Di looked at him, puzzled. "What scoop?" she asked. Suoluan glanced at Ji Yao and, after getting a nod, leaned in with a smirk. "The knife-wielding woman who attacked you today? She's connected to Jean Fei. No hard proof yet, though. Don't worry, boss will make sure you get justice." The remark left Tao Di stunned for a moment. Then memories of Jean Fei's earlier threats snapped into place and fury rose in her chest. Slamming her fist on the table, she barked, "Suoluan, can you fake a haunting or something? She's scared of ghosts. Maybe that'll force a confession. I want her behind bars." Ji Yao's face went ice cold. He leaned back, made a slow cutting gesture and said softly, "I'll make sure her family pays. Destroy them." Early the next morning, Suoluan arrived at Ji Shouting's ward with the caregiver he'd carefully recruited. As soon as she stepped in, the caregiver leaned forward to show off her powerful biceps, enough to turn heads. Then she lunged confidently toward Ji Shouting. "Mr. Ji, don't worry. I'll take care of you until you're fully recovered," she promised. The combination of her looks and husky voice made Ji Shouting recoil with disgust. His whole body trembled. Suoluan couldn't stand the scene and, flustered, bolted out of the room. What followed inside were sharp, anguished cries. Now Suoluan was determined. He was going straight to deal with that nasty Jean Fei once and for all. The scene cut to Tao Di chatting with her co-workers. Suddenly, a bruised and battered Jean Fei pushed the door open and whispered, "Xiao Di, can we talk outside for a second?" Tao Di shot back coldly, "You sent that lunatic after me before. You dare show up now? I won't forgive you." Faced with her icy resolve, Jean Fei panicked and took a step back. Out of nowhere, a huge hand slammed down on her back. A polished shoe came down hard on her calf. Both the man and Jean Fei dropped to their knees before Tao Di. The spectacle unnerved Tao Di. She waved them off. "Get up. Even if there are grudges, you don't kneel to settle them." The man forced Jean Fei's head toward the floor and said, "Miss Tao, I'm Jean Fei's father. She did wrong by you. I apologize. Please don't make life hard for our suppliers." He then put on a pitiful act. "Miss Tao, I'm just an ordinary merchant. I know my place and wouldn't dare offend anyone. I'll discipline her. If this shipment fails, our whole family business collapses." Tao Di replied coolly, "I don't know who ordered this. Leave now and don't disturb the company again." Watching them go, she smiled inwardly. Before she even acted, the Jean family was already facing the consequences. The scene cut to Ji Yao's office. Suoluan swaggered in, booming, "Once we stepped in, the Jean patriarch took the bait. This week no one dares take his orders anymore." A beat later, his smile faltered. Still, the Jean family's smart. They immediately went to kneel and beg. Sister-in-law got spooked, and now there's gossip circulating at the company. Hearing that, Ji Yao's voice went cold. Then finish them. Crush the Jean family, ruin them. Zuolun jumped up and pounded his chest. Consider it done. I'll give you a perfect outcome. That evening, Ji Yao came home from work to a lavish dinner Tao Di had prepared. He handed her a package he'd picked up on the way. Tao Di assumed it was the stockings she'd ordered and eagerly tore it open, thinking of teasing him. Her smile vanished when she saw what was inside. The box contained intimate school year photos of her and Ji Xiaoting. Ji Yao frowned as he looked through them, voice tinged with a jealous edge. I didn't expect him to be that sentimental, keeping your old pictures. Sensing his jealousy, Tao Di immediately flipped into a playful mode. Oh, stop it. My heart belongs to you only. Then she ripped every photo into pieces and tossed them into the trash, decisive and unhesitating. Just then Tao Di's phone rang. When she picked up, Ji Xiaoting's voice came through. Xiaoti, did you get the package? Those are all our memories of love. Let's go back to how it used to be. Before he could finish, Tao Di decisively hung up. Ji Yao's face darkened. Didn't you block him already? How is he still calling you? Tao Di quickly explained. It was from his mother's phone. I thought Aunt Yuan needed something. Hearing that only stoked Ji Yao's jealousy further. He even dragged his own mother into this. He's really desperate to win you back. His anger surged, he shot up to his feet and stormed out, the door slamming behind him. Watching his retreating figure, Tao Di felt nothing but grievance and heartache. The scene shifted. Tao Di stormed into the hospital, clutching the dinner she had prepared. When she reached Ji Yao's office, she peeked inside quietly. There, a young and pretty nurse suddenly threw herself into Ji Yao's arms. Tao Di nearly exploded on the spot. Seriously, Ji Yao? We just had a fight and now you're hugging a nurse? Do you think I'm that easy to mess with? I even brought you dinner. Forget it, starve to death. But for the sake of his reputation, she bit back her fury and marched out of the hospital. Ji Yao caught sight of her leaving figure and instantly realized he had gone too far. He shoved the office door open and bolted after her. Xiaoti, wait. Let me explain. Tao Di slapped his hand away, her eyes blazing. Explain what? Explain how popular you are with nurses. I came all this way to bring you dinner, and you're out here fooling around letting other women hold you. Don't forget, Ji Yao, you're a married man. Ji Yao pulled her tightly into his arms. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to feel what I felt this morning. When I saw those old photos of you and Ji Xiaoting, it tore me apart. Hearing that, Tao Di's emotions finally snapped. She shoved the dinner hard against his chest and shouted, So now that you've seen me hurt and crying, are you satisfied? But the hot soup spilled all over Ji Yao, making him hiss from the sudden burn. Tao Di panicked and rushed to check him. Ji Yao, are you okay? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Instead of answering, Ji Yao kissed her, brushing her cheek as he whispered, See? You still care about me. Tao Di quickly turned her head away, pouting. Liar. Serves you right if it burned you. That's payback for letting me down. Ji Yao held her tightly, murmuring, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Tao Di finally laid down her condition. Fine, but next time Ji Xiaoting tries something, you're not allowed to get mad at me. Ji Yao agreed without hesitation and started pulling her home. But Tao Di protested, Ji Yao, you don't have to walk me back. You'll be late for your dinner party. Ji Yao grinned mischievously. What dinner? That was just an excuse to tease you. Tao Di glared at him angrily. So it really was your fault. I was so mad earlier my chest hurt. Hearing that, Ji Yao's eyes instantly darted down to her chest. With a wicked grin, he yanked her into his arms, his hand sliding over boldly. Tao Di blushed furiously and cried out, Stop. Ji Yao, you can't just take advantage of me. Her shy reaction only made Ji Yao burst out laughing. Just then, a piercing scream echoed nearby. I'd rather die than break off this engagement. Tao Di and Ji Yao turned to see Ji Xiaoting and Shi Xinyu locked in a vicious struggle. Ji Xiaoting roared, Shi Xinyu, it doesn't matter what you say. In 1 week I'll end this engagement myself, and don't blame me for disgracing your family. Shi Xinyu, however, refused to accept it. Her shameless persistence only pushed Ji Xiaoting further over the edge, and he suddenly shoved her hard to the ground. Tao Di whispered nervously, Ji Yao, let's go. If those two lunatics see us, they'll drag us into their mess again. But just as they turned to leave, Ji Shouting spotted her and shouted with joy, "Xiao Di!" Shi Xinyu clung desperately to his leg, refusing to let him take a step toward Tao Di. Snarling, Ji Shouting yanked her hair and kicked her viciously in the head. With a sickening thud, Shi Xinyu's body slammed onto the floor. Tao Di realized Ji Shouting had completely lost his mind and quickly pulled Ji Yao away. Even after being humiliated beyond limits, Shi Xinyu still refused to give up. She wanted Ji Shouting back at her side. Without hesitation, she drove straight to his house, hoping to use his mother to persuade him. She knocked softly on Yuan Jinjin's door. "Auntie Yuan, it's Xinyu. You didn't come to the hospital today and I was worried about you." When no response came, Shi Xinyu carefully pushed the door open. Inside, Yuan Jinjin sat trembling in a chair, clutching a critical notice of liver failure. "Impossible. I'm only in my early 50s. How could I have this disease? I don't want to die." Reading the document, Shi Xinyu froze in shock. How could Shouting's pampered mother suddenly fall so ill? What should I do? She's my last bargaining chip to hold on to him. Gently patting Yuan Jinjin's shoulder, she called softly, "Auntie Yuan." Startled, Yuan Jinjin quickly flipped the paper over and forced a smile. "Xinyu, you're here." Shi Xinyu seized her hand, feigning sorrow. "I saw the report, Auntie. Tomorrow I'll get tested for a match and I'll even ask my friends to check too. We'll definitely find a donor for you." Deeply moved, Yuan Jinjin praised Shi Xinyu as a truly good girl and promised she would make sure she entered the Ji family. Just then, Ji Shouting burst through the door, shouting at Shi Xinyu, "Shameless! This engagement will end. No one can stop it." In a panic, Shi Xinyu revealed Yuan Jinjin's illness. Ji Shouting froze in shock, then quickly promised his mother, "I'll reach out to my contacts abroad right away. I'll find a matching liver donor for you." Carefully edging closer, Shi Xinyu clung to his arm and said softly, "Shouting, let's get married soon and have a baby. The family needs something good to offset this misfortune. Even if no donor matches, a child might give us another chance." Her words made Ji Shouting's expression instantly darken with rage. He yanked her toward the door and shoved her out. Bang! The door slammed shut behind her. The scene shifted. Shi Xinyu rushed home, desperate to seek help from her father. As she reached the study, she overheard Zhang Huiling's voice inside. "Huayan, it seems Ji Yao has learned about us. What should we do?" Shi Huayan snapped, his voice filled with rage. "What's there to fear? Tao Duan's business still depends on me. Even if he knew the truth, that I've been with you for years and that Xinyu is our child, that coward wouldn't dare say a word." Hearing this from outside, Shi Xinyu froze, utterly shocked. She burst through the door, screaming, "You don't deserve to be my mother." Zhang Huiling rushed forward, pleading, "Xinyu, please forgive me. I had no choice. I know I've wronged you, but I'll make it up to you. I'll make sure you live a happy life." Shi Xinyu lashed out, her voice shrill with desperation. "You can't make me happy. Only if Shouting marries me will I ever be happy." Suddenly, a sinister thought crossed her mind. Leaning close to Zhang Huiling's ear, she whispered coldly, "If you really want to make it up to me, donate part of your liver to Yuan Jinjin. Hisik. If she's cured, Shouting will be forced to marry me." Zhang Huiling's expression turned sour and she opened her mouth to refuse. But Shi Xinyu pressed against her, calling out softly, almost tenderly, "Mom." That single word shattered Zhang Huiling's defenses. Overcome with emotion, she foolishly agreed to Shi Xinyu's scheme. The moment Tao Di learned her mother was about to donate part of her liver, she rushed to the hospital in a panic. Shi Xinyu feigned sorrow, saying softly, "I didn't expect Auntie's liver to be a match either." Tao Di suddenly snatched the test report. The instant she saw the results, her face darkened, while behind her Shi Xinyu silently rejoiced, "Even fate is on my side." Tao Di erupted in fury, shredding the report into pieces. "We're not donating. My mother went through this match without telling me or my father. We will never agree to it." Shi Xinyu clung to Zhang Huiling's arm, pretending to persuade her. "Tao Di, your aunt already signed the consent form before the match. Backing out now, after it succeeded, doesn't that mean you're playing with Yuan Jinjin's life? The Ji family won't let you off." Tao Di stared at her mother in shock. "You really signed it?" she asked, trembling. Zhang Huiling replied helplessly, "Yes. I signed it. I thought I wouldn't be a match. At that moment, Zhang Huiling was overcome with regret. Shirsinyu quickly leaned in, persuading her, "Don't worry, auntie. The side effects of liver donation are minimal, and the surgery will be done by top specialists. Madame Yuan is my future mother-in-law. If only I had been the match, I would have gladly donated. Our relationship as in-laws would have been as close as the bond one have with you." With that, Shirsinyu gently wiped away Zhang Huiling's tears and whispered, "Mom." That single word, "Mom," instantly melted Zhang Huiling's resistance. Smiling through her tears, she held Shirsinyu's hand tightly and agreed to go through with the surgery. Tao Di exploded in rage, shouting, "I won't allow you to donate. Shirsinyu has ulterior motives. Losing part of your liver will hurt your health badly." But Zhang Huiling rebuked her daughter sternly. "Calm down. This is a hospital. Don't make a scene. It's my liver, my choice. Saving a life is worth more than anything. I didn't raise you to be so cold-blooded." Having such a muddle-headed mother made Tao Di tremble with fury. "There's no discussion. I said no and that's final," she roared, then spun around and bolted out of the room. She slammed straight into Ji Xiaoting's chest. He instinctively wrapped her in his arms, smiling brightly. "Xiaodi, I just heard from the doctor. My mom finally found a suitable donor. She's going to be saved." Tao Di shoved him away violently, screaming, "There is no suitable donor. My mom won't donate. No matter how rich or powerful your family is, she won't do it." When Ji Xiaoting realized the matching donor was actually Tao Di's mother, he was utterly stunned. Shirsinyu quickly stepped forward to comfort Ji Xiaoting. Auntie's match was successful and she's agreed to the surgery. It can be scheduled as soon as next Monday. But Tao Di snapped back, "I won't let my mom donate. Find another donor." She turned on her heel, ready to leave. Ji Xiaoting shoved Shirsinyu aside and hurried after her. "Xiaodi, liver donation isn't that dangerous. Don't worry. If your mom does go through with it, it'll make it easier for you to enter my family after your divorce." Tao Di exploded, shouting, "Who wants to marry into your family? I've said it again and again, we will never donate." She forced herself to calm down and tried to persuade her mother to go home with her. But Zhang Huiling slapped her hand away, refusing to leave, insisting on the donation. Tao Di, utterly heartbroken, cried out in fury, "Mom, you're already this old. Why must you donate your liver? I'm doing this for your own good." Seeing Tao Di on the verge of breaking down, Ji Xiaoting pulled her tightly into his arms, whispering gently, "Xiaodi, don't cry. I can wait. If another donor turns up, I'll convince Auntie not to go through with it. No more tears. Come on, I'll take you out for something sweet." Watching the tender scene, Shirsinyu nearly exploded with rage. Unable to bear their affection, she spun around and stormed off. Shirsinyu turned and froze when she spotted Ji Yao standing there. A sly smile crept across her face. She sauntered up to him, feigning concern. "Dr. Ji, did you see? They've patched things up. Looks like we're out of the picture." Then, with a provocative edge, she asked, "So? Want to team up and take that crown off her head, doctor? Make her regret it." Ji Yao's face darkened. He looked lost in thought. Sensing weakness, Shirsinyu pressed on. "It's a win-win. Do you honestly think you can win her back against Ji Xiaoting's assault? You're just a poor doctor." Ji Yao's reply was ice-cold and warning. "Miss Shir, watch your mouth, or I'll sew it shut myself." Shirsinyu flinched, then snapped back, "You wouldn't dare. Don't test me. This is your only warning." Without another word, Ji Yao turned and strode toward Tao Di and Ji Xiaoting. Shirsinyu called after him, panicked, "Hey, what are you doing, poor doctor?" At that moment, Ji Xiaoting gently dabbed Tao Di's tears away with a handkerchief. Ji Yao grabbed his collar and hurled him backward with force. He stepped up to Tao Di, expression unreadable. "Explain." Seeing Ji Yao, Tao Di broke down, throwing herself into his arms. "Ji Yao, take me home. I want to go home, our home." Ji Yao held her tenderly, whispering, "All right, let's go home. No more tears." As he shielded her and turned to leave, Ji Xiaoting shouted from behind, desperate, "Tao Di, come back now and my promise still stands. If not, you know what's coming." Tao Di glanced back instinctively. Ji Yao pulled her into his arms at once. "You'd actually believe a man like him?" he asked coldly. Tao Di choked up, "But this is about my mom, she before she could finish, Ji Yao cut her off calmly. I'll handle everything. Just come with me. He led her straight into his office, shut the door and demanded, Girl, I need an explanation. With tears in her eyes, Tao Di started, Ji shouting but Ji Yao interrupted sharply, Enough. I don't want to hear his name from your lips again. He pulled her firmly into his arms. Tao Di looked up, her voice trembling, Ji Yao they? Before she could finish, Ji Yao pressed his lips to hers, silencing her. In his heart only one thought remained, Girl, stop crying for another man. In a nearby alley, two thugs had Jin Fei pinned down. She spat, Don't come near me, get lost you scum. I'll call the police. The thugs sneered, leering, If you kill us, who'll satisfy you, huh? At that moment, a car door swung open and a bodyguard leapt out, quickly subduing the two men. The woman who stepped out of the car was Sinew. She looked coldly at Jin Fei and said, Jin Fei, didn't expect to see you here. I heard Tao Di set your family up, so I came to check. Jin Fei, stunned, shot back. What? She couldn't possibly. Sinew's face darkened as she closed the distance. She's back with Ji shouting, and the Ji family is backing her. I hate her as much as you do. If you help me make her disappear, I'll help your father start over abroad. Jin Fei hesitated. Can you guarantee that? How can I trust you? You promised to come yesterday and didn't show. Sinew handed over a designer bag. Consider this a retainer. Sell it, you'll get at least $300,000. Inside was a bank card loaded with enough cash to get Jin Fei's father back on his feet overseas. But the catch was brutal. Only if you ensure Tao Di is gone will I give you the pin. Jin Fei held the card, panic washing her face. You want me to kill someone? I can't. Sinew's voice turned icy. If you won't, this bag will be the last luxury you ever touch. And those men you just met? Under Tao Di's arrangement, they'll keep showing up in your life. Faced with the humiliation and the promise of a way out for her father, Jin Fei stroked the bag, torn. After a beat, she looked up, hard and cold. I'll do it. Back at her shabby apartment, Jin Fei sat on the creaky bed, staring at the designer bag and a knife on the table, Sinew's words still echoing in her mind. Her eyes darkened as she slowly picked up the knife, muttering under her breath, Tao Di, this is the only choice I have left. She stepped toward the door. Suddenly, a strange man snatched the knife from her hand and pressed the blade to her throat. His voice was ice-cold, quiet. Come with me. Meanwhile, Ji Yao held the sleeping Tao Di in his arms, his gaze fixed on his phone screen. On it was a message from Zuolun. Young Master Ji, Jin Fei has been taken care of just as you instructed. Ji Yao read it without a flicker of emotion, then deleted the message outright. At that moment, Tao Di stirred awake in his embrace. Ji Yao kissed her gently on the forehead and whispered, Go back to sleep. She blushed and muttered shyly, You were too much last night. I told you to stop. Ji Yao suddenly caught her hand. Tao Di blinked in confusion. What are you doing? Ji Yao smirked. Didn't you feel it? Her face burned red. I'm just hungry, Ji Yao teased with a wicked grin, and I was just about to feed you. Tao Di leaned close, whispering coyly, Ji Yao, I want breakfast service. Ji Yao replied deadpan, I can't cook. She pouted, then at least make me some noodles. I'm starving, so hungry.